Hey Sherry. You've always been a burden to our family. And you don't need Dad's inheritance, right? Huh? Why are you suddenly talking about inheritance? Dad just passed away. Despite it being before the funeral, Mom had already started discussing the inheritance. I felt disgusted by her unwillingness to leave it to me, but more so, I couldn't tolerate her attitude towards our deceased father. I didn't know much about Dad and barely had conversations with him. But he was not someone to be taken lightly by Mom. I had to stop her rampage. I decided to accept the inheritance. My name is Sherry, a 22-year-old college senior. I live at home with my parents. My father was an executive at a major company and also owned real estate. So I grew up in a wealthy family. However, my mother adored my brother and neglected me. My brother, 5 years my senior, was handsome, well-behaved, and a top student. He was always top of his class and athletic. Teachers always praised him, and Mom was delighted. On the other hand, I was average in looks and not so great in academics. My only talent was drawing, and I spent every day in the art club painting. Mom disapproved. All your efforts in something that won't help you in the future are a waste, she said, refusing to acknowledge my art. High school was especially tense regarding my future. You want to go to art college? I won't allow it. If you have no other talents, just go to some decent college and get a job. There should be at least one man willing to marry a dull girl like you. I don't want to live a life dictated by you. Can't you just listen to your parents? When Mom and I clashed, it was always my brother who helped. If you have a talent for art, that's amazing. What do you want to be in the future, Sherry? I haven't decided yet, but I want to live by painting. There are various careers available now, like manga artists or illustrators. You could even dream of making it as a painter internationally. Exciting to think about all the possibilities, right? Yeah. As I nodded vigorously, my brother turned back to Mom. Just because Sherry goes to art college doesn't mean it'll cause any trouble. Mom, you're just angry because she won't do what you want. I've lived as you wished. Let Sherry live her life freely. Hearing this, Mom fell silent. After discussing with Dad, I managed to enroll in art college. My brother must have been enduring a lot too. Despite always obeying Mom, he didn't join Dad's company after graduating, but took a job in a completely different field. My brother always wanted to work overseas. Soon after joining the international division, he was assigned abroad, leaving just the three of us at home. Mom became terrible afterward. She missed my brother, became disinterested in household chores, and Dad, fed up, started staying away from home. I was uncomfortable with Dad, so it was easier when he wasn't around. But being alone with Mom was dreadful. I decided to be independent after graduation and started a part-time job. I worked as a well-paid tutor and did just enough housework to manage on my own. The only person troubled by my lack of housework was Mom. I wished she'd just take care of herself. By saving my earnings, I amassed a considerable amount. I could pursue my passions without needing a job after graduation. But then, Dad suddenly died of acute heart failure during my senior year. It seemed Mom had no love left for him. She didn't cry at all, laughing while looking through Dad's bank books. Now, $2 million is mine, she muttered, seemingly unaware that I was watching. She was focused solely on money, even making calls casually during the funeral. It was embarrassing to have her as my mother. My brother returned home for the funeral and seemed most concerned about me. When we met at the funeral home, he hugged me. Were you okay? Yeah. But Mom is just thinking about Dad's inheritance. What even was our family? Dad wasn't interested in us either, maybe it's inevitable. But we can't let Mom go on like this. Yeah. Seeing my brother return, Mom smiled broadly. Finally, you've come back. Now that Dad's gone, You should stop working at that unknown company and take over Dad's company. I have no intention of taking over Dad's company. I enjoy my current job. What a joke. You went to another company because you hated Dad, didn't you? There's no one in the way anymore, so come back. As Mom said that, my brother sighed heavily and asked her a question. Did you ever love Dad? It was a marriage of convenience from the start. I never loved him. I've been considering a divorce for years. It was tough dealing with lawyers. But I'm relieved now. You'll support me from now on, right? No, it's not that I hated Dad or anything. I just did the job I wanted to do. Dad said he didn't care about the succession and that I could do what I liked. I'm planning to leave the company matters to my uncle, who's the vice president. That's absurd. No matter what she said after that, my brother wouldn't listen. I also want him to pursue his own path, and I don't think of keeping him here either. Probably, Dad felt the same. While it seemed like he wasn't interested in family matters, perhaps he did care about us kids. When I said I wanted to go to art school, only Mom opposed, while Dad was supportive. Thinking about it, I wish I had talked more with Dad. I thought, I'm sorry for thinking you were cold. While I was thinking this and looking at Dad's photo, Mom came over and blurted out to me. Hey Sherry. You've always been a burden to our family. And you don't need Dad's inheritance, right? Huh? Why are you suddenly talking about inheritance? Dad just passed away. Don't talk back to me. The inheritance will be divided between me and your brother. So you give it up. Got it. And leave this house. Once your brother receives his inheritance, he'll come back home. Then we won't need someone like you. Without waiting for my response, Mom just said what she wanted. And quickly went somewhere else. Does she think I agreed? She has always treated me carelessly. Every time she did, I would rebel. And my brother would always help me. Probably, she thinks I can't win against her without my brother. That's why she specifically chose a time when my brother wasn't around to tell me this. Realizing this, anger welled up in me. In the distance, I could see Mom smiling happily at my brother. Even if she didn't love him, I was infuriated by her attitude after being together for nearly 30 years. And him passing away. I never want to follow what Mom says again. That feeling grew stronger. After the funeral, my brother seemed to notice something was off and approached me. Sherry, are you okay? I'm frustrated. I barely talked with Dad, and we parted like this. Mom seems to be only thinking about the inheritance. And she told me to renounce it. Can you believe it? Mom said that. I'm thinking of moving out after graduating from college. I need to do something about Mom before that. I've always been under Mom's thumb since I was little. When I was a child, I thought I had to obey her. If I voiced my opinion, she would get angry. As I became an adult and started living freely, my thoughts changed. That's why I thought I shouldn't make you the same as me. Big brother, you always protected me. It's natural since I'm your brother. His smile saved me. I thought we had a terrible family. But I felt that at least my brother and I were truly bonded as a family. When I calmed down, my brother said, also, I heard something from our uncle. He shared something with me. Although I wasn't thinking about the inheritance yet. After hearing it, I decided to accept it. Then, we planned to cut ties with Mom. A while after the funeral, while sorting through Dad's belongings, we discovered that he had left a notarized will. A notarized will does not require probate. So it was okay to open it. My brother read the will too. Dad hated insurance and did not have life insurance, but he left us cash and real estate. Which I truly appreciate. According to the will, the cash would go to Mom. And the real estate was to be divided between my brother and me. Mom was overjoyed. I did it. Now the $2 million is mine. Naturally, Sherry, you'll renounce the inheritance and leave it all to your brother, right? My brother objected as Mom said this with a spiteful face. Why would that be the case? We discussed it a bit ago. And I intend to renounce my share in favor of Sherry. What are you thinking? Then nothing will be left for you. It's fine with me. I love my sister. I know Mom always puts me first. But for me, Sherry is my priority. But you don't have to give up the inheritance just because of that. This is something we've discussed and decided. Mom gets the cash. And Sherry takes the real estate, right? When we say real estate, it's just this house. 2 parking spots, and Dad's childhood home. I heard from Dad before that it's worth about $500,000, I just don't need it. As my brother said this, Mom glared at me obviously. You really have always had a way of getting on my nerves. Please, just leave now. I've got $2 million, so I don't need you anymore. I will continue living in this house. I'll even pay the property tax, so don't even think about charging me rent. I smiled sweetly at Mom. Thank you. I've been waiting for this. I've always planned to move out. After graduating from college. I'm graduating in half a year, so let me stay until then. Once I graduate, I'll leave this house right away. After I said this, it seemed like Mom lost interest in me and clung to my brother instead. Maybe reconsider about the inheritance, she suggested. But my brother wasn't going to change his stance. He listened to Mom's words nonchalantly, then left the house. He's staying at a nearby business hotel, and he plans to return to England, where he works, once everything settles down. And after I transferred the land into my name. I graduated from college and immediately flew overseas. My brother and I lived together. And I started my activities as a painter. When I painted on the streets, some people gave me tips, and though my income fluctuated daily, I gradually gained more fans. One day, I received a call from Mom. It was just around dawn. And my brother and I were having breakfast. It's convenient nowadays with Messenger, allowing calls overseas. Thinking about this, I put the call on speaker, and immediately, Mom's angry voice filled the air. What have you done? Huh, what's wrong? How could you sell the house without telling me? The real estate agent said someone will move in next month, so I need to leave soon. I left a note for you before I moved out. I placed an envelope labeled to Mom on the table. Inside were 2 sheets of paper detailing the sale of the house and parking spots, among other properties. I had also written a note of thanks to her. I don't care. I thought your letter wasn't worth reading, so I threw it away. Then it's your fault for not reading it. It's really the worst. Not even reading a letter from your own daughter. Come back right now. Buy this house back. It's not a house for strangers to live in. But if we hadn't sold the real estate, we couldn't have paid the inheritance tax. Weren't you supposed to pay it out of the $2 million you received? That's not true. I ended up losing the whole $2 million. I can't pay the inheritance tax. Panicking, I almost laughed. Barely holding back my laughter, I asked again. What? What do you mean? Dad had debts. $1.5 million. Then you can pay it from $2 million. That's not funny. After paying the inheritance tax and $1.5 million, I'm left with only about $200,000. That's enough. $200,000 should keep her from trouble for a while, and she can find a job in that time. I thought I had $2 million, so I immediately invested in stocks. Then I incurred a loss of $100,000, and now I'm in trouble. But if you have $100,000, you're still fine. You can live while working, as long as you don't indulge. That's impossible. I already bought a new car. And ordered lots of stuff online that looked nice. And now they're telling me to move out all of a sudden. I only have about $50,000 left. What should I do? As Mom panicked, I almost burst out laughing. Then my brother spoke up. It's all self-inflicted. Why did you spend so much money all at once? Dad wouldn't be happy, huh? My son. You're there too. Yeah, I'm living here with Sherry. Hey, can you say something too? Sherry is enjoying all the benefits by herself. Just to clarify, Sherry and I planned this together. So it's difficult for me to say what you want. Originally, Dad told us that he would give cash to Mom and the real estate to us. He was always troubled by the fact that Mom had to marry into a political arrangement for the company's sake. He wanted to at least leave some money for her. No way. That blockhead would never say such a thing. He cared about his family more than he showed. But, Mom, you said awful things to Sherry, and you seemed happy when Dad died. Since I'm abroad and it's hard to move freely, I renounced the inheritance and entrusted everything to Sherry. We discussed and decided to sell the real estate together. That's why I sold all the land. I thought it might be tough for Mom, but with $2 million, she should be okay. I wanted her to feel a bit of my anger. And yet, to think she's down to only $50,000 now. It seems like it'll all be gone in a few years. When I laughed, my brother joined in. This is what they call karma. Then Mom exploded in anger. How can you laugh when someone is suffering? You heartless people. Who's the heartless one here? You've always neglected Sherry and disregarded my feelings. I can't even think of you as a mother anymore. I'm cutting ties with you. My usually calm brother raised his voice for once. I also added my piece to Mom. I also will never think of you as my mother again. I'll attend the funeral. But other than that, I won't interact with you. Okay, I'm hanging up now. Wait a minute. Mom tried to say something else, but I immediately ended the call. I then deleted her from my Messenger friends and blocked her number. I doubt she will call since it would be an international call. My brother said he would keep her contact just in case, but he doesn't plan to answer. Being cut off even by her favorite son, I thought to myself, serves her right. Afterward, I heard from my uncle. Mom managed to move to a cheap apartment. But she couldn't fit the furniture and appliances she bought from the house into the apartment, and had to have them picked up, which was costly. Her lavish lifestyle habits didn't go away easily. She spent $50,000 in a year and is now living a poor life while working part-time. Mom had never worked before, so it must be a tough life for her. Even working isn't enough, and she seems to have borrowed money on a revolving credit basis. She has to keep paying it back separately from her living expenses, and her life isn't stabilizing. As for me, I've been traveling around the world since leaving my brother's side. After he finished his overseas assignment and returned to the USA, I decided to live freely. I've started earning a bit through social media and video posts. And I can draw anywhere, not bound by location. Experiencing new cultures refreshes my values and positively influences my art. From now on, I want to live as I wish.